Hello, I'm Wan Chui, a horticulturist. Today, I'll teach you detailed maintenance techniques for hydrangeas. Let's go. This is a hydrangea. Many people think that hydrangeas prefer dark environments and keep them indoors or on the north balcony without any direct sunlight. But this is actually a serious mistake. Hydrangea is a typical sun-loving plant that requires sunlight. Long-term lack of light can lead to poor flowering of hydrangea, such as decrease in the number of flowers and small or even non-flowering flowers. But we should know that hydrangea is not resistant to the scorching sun in the summer. Therefore, in summer, hydrangea should be appropriately shaded to avoid long-term exposure to the scorching sun, especially for varieties like endless summer. It is best to only expose them to morning sunlight, while other varieties are more sun-resistant. Many people water hydrangeas and like to remember how many days they water them, but this is actually a mistake, because the number of days to water varies completely in different seasons. If we water according to the number of days, it is easy to water too much. I suggest that everyone to touch the soil of hydrangea with their hands before watering. If the soil is very humid, do not water it no matter how many days it is. For example, in winter, the soil may still be damp for half a month, so there is no need to water it for a half of a month. But if it's in summer, when you touch the soil with your hands, the soil may dry out in a day, so you need to water it once a day. Overall, hydrangea is a very water-loving plant. In the hot summer weather, it is better to water more than less. In the cold winter weather, it is necessary to wait until the soil is dry before watering. The requirements for soil quality are not high for hydrangea. Whether it is roadside pastoral soil or household-specific nutrient soil, hydrangea can be planted. Therefore, hydrangea is a plant that can be planted on ground and can also be potted. But we should know that hydrangea is a plant that prefers acidic soil. If the soil is too alkali, it will inevitably affect the growth and the flowering of hydrangea. In addition, potted hydrangeas need to be replaced with pots. So it is best to wait until the hydrangeas have withered before changing pot. Do not change pots during flowering, as this can greatly damage the plant. Hydrangea, a plant like this, requires high breathability. It is best not to keep it indoors in a closed environment during daily maintenance, as it can easily lead to the occurrence of disease and pests. If your home has closed balcony with poor breathability, but you really want to keep hydrangeas, then I will teach you 3 tips to help you also keep them in a closed balcony. Firstly, arrange the hydrangea flowers as close to the window as possible to receive more sufficient light. And it's best to make the height of the flower pot and the windowsill to the same, which can enhance the ventilation inside the flower pot. Secondly, do not water too much. Be sure to wait for the soil to dry thoroughly before watering, because in a closed environment, the soil is repeatedly excessively humid, which can easily breed bacteria. Watering after it has dried thoroughly is safer method. Thirdly, when the weather is good, opening more windows for ventilation will be very beneficial for the healthy growth of hydrangea in a closed environment. Hydrangea is a very fertilizer-loving plant, and if we want it to bloom more, we must fertilize it frequently. Below, I will teach you the two-season fertilization method. Firstly, during the growth season of hydrangea, which is when it grows roots, leaves, and flowers, we need to apply compost fertilizer to hydrangea every 2 weeks. Sprinkle the fertilizer into the soil and water it. This will accelerate the growth rate of hydrangea and promote more flowering. Secondly, in winter, hydrangeas will stop growing and enter a dormant state. At this time, we will no longer use compost fertilizers, but instead use organic fertilizers such as compost and manure. We bury the fertilizer in the soil and apply them once a month. This will allow hydrangeas to store a large amount of nutrients in winter and have strong germination momentum in spring. After spring, return to the first fertilization method and repeat this process. Are hydrangeas afraid of the cold? It is not afraid of the cold. Ordinary hydrangeas can withstand temperatures as low as -10 degrees Celsius, while a few varieties of hydrangeas can withstand temperatures as low as -30 degrees Celsius. Therefore, hydrangeas are spend winter outdoors without worrying about freezing to death. However, the winter weather is too cold, so we need to reduce the amount of water for hydrangeas, especially potted hydrangeas. If we water too much in winter, it is easy for the roots to freeze. Okay, next, how to trim hydrangea. The most suitable season for pruning is winter. After entering winter, the flower of hydrangea gradually wither. At this point, we start pruning. Now, assuming that the flower has withered, start counting down from the flower and trim it in the middle of the second and third notes below the flower. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Is middle of 2, 3. Here. Okay? Here. Okay. Prove it. It's right. Each branch can be trimmed in this way. The purpose of pruning in this way is to avoid residual flowers remaining on the branches, consuming the nutrients of the plant and affecting the growth and the flowering of the next year. Through pruning, we can preserve the nutrients for winter so that after spring, the growth momentum of hydrangeas is more abundant. Many people really like the blue flowers of hydrangea, but the hydrangea they raise blooms red flowers. So how can we make it bloom blue? In fact, the key lies in aluminum sulfate. We dilute aluminum sulfate with water 1,000 times and then spray aluminum sulfate solution on the leaves of hydrangeas every 20 days when they grow leaves. Until the hydrangea blooms, blue flowers can bloom. It should be noted that do not wait until the hydrangea flowers have bloomed before spraying aluminum sulfate solution. This is too late, and it is necessary to spray aluminum sulfate solution every 20 days before flowering. How to reproduce hydrangeas? We only need a branch of hydrangea, and now I will teach you how to propagate hydrangea through cutting. We trim off the tender leaves at the top of the branches. The tender leaves are still in the growth stage and require a lot of nutrients, which is not conducive to the survival of cuttings. Next, trim off a portion of the bottom leaves. Leaving excessive leaves will cause excessive water loss and also affect the survival rate of cuttings. Next, we cut off half of the top 2 leaves each, which can reduce the area of water evaporation from the leaves and improve the survival rate of cuttings. Finally, we trimmed the bottom of the branch into an oblique opening, which can increase the water absorption area of the bottom branch and improve the survival rate. Finally, dip a little HB101 onto the bottom branch and insert it diagonally into the soil. After watering, the cuttings can survive. Okay, it's all tips for care hydrangeas. I hope it will be helpful to you. I'm Wan Chui. Goodbye.